The courtroom was a vacuum of sound, heavy with anticipation, as 5-year-old Lily Thompson stepped through the towering oak doors. Her tiny hand gripped the leash of Max, a German shepherd with a jagged scar slicing down his flank, a mark of battles past. Every pair of eyes in the room tracked the small girl as she moved toward the witness stand, her steps tentative yet resolute. Judge William Harper, a veteran of the bench with decades of legal scars, leaned forward, his gaze steady on the child. He knew the weight of the case rested on her fragile shoulders. Lily was the only witness to an attempted abduction, a crime that could lock a dangerous man away for life. But there was a catch. Lily hadn't uttered a word since the attack. Across the room, Thomas Reed sat at the defense table, his face a mask of calm, almost smug. A 42-year-old software developer with a forgettable appearance, Reed had been arrested after a neighbor placed him at the scene of Lily's ordeal. His defense was airtight: no physical evidence, no confession, and a witness who couldn't speak. His attorney, Charles Donovan, had built a strategy around dismantling the credibility of a traumatized child's silent testimony. But as Lily settled into the witness chair, her hazel eyes locked onto Reed's, and her fingers twitched in a subtle, practiced signal, barely perceptible to most. Only two beings in the room understood it: Max and Judge Harper. Max's reaction was instantaneous. His body stiffened, ears snapping forward, muscles taut like a coiled spring. A low, guttural growl rumbled from his chest, a sound of warning, of recognition. His amber eyes bored into Reed, unyielding. The courtroom stirred, a murmur rippling through the spectators. Something about the dog's behavior cut deeper than instinct. This wasn't just a therapy animal reacting to his handler's distress. This was primal. Judge Harper's gavel crashed down, the sound like a thunderclap. "This court will take a 15-minute recess," he declared, his voice edged with urgency. Prosecutor Anna Mitchell shot him a puzzled glance, but Harper's eyes were on Lily, who clung to Max as if he were her anchor. Something had shifted, and he needed to know what before the trial moved forward. As the courtroom emptied, Harper remained at the bench, his mind racing. He'd seen many things in his years judging cases, but never a therapy dog react with such certainty. What had Max sensed? Outside in the hallway, Lily knelt beside Max, her small hands buried in his fur. Her mother, Claire Thompson, crouched beside her, smoothing back Lily's curly hair with trembling fingers. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" she whispered. Lily didn't answer, her grip on Max tightening, her frame pressing into his side. Detective Robert Callahan, a weathered FBI agent with a career built on gut instinct, watched from a distance. His intuition, honed over decades, screamed that whatever had just happened was a turning point. He approached Harper, voice low. "Something spooked that dog. I'd bet my badge he knows Reed from somewhere." Harper exhaled, his blue eyes narrowing. "Then we need to find out where." In the defense's private room, Reed sat across from Donovan. Alone, his smug facade cracked, replaced by something colder. His fingers drummed the table as he replayed the moment. The girl hadn't spoken, but the dog Max had reacted. "She knows," he muttered. Donovan raised an eyebrow. "What?" Reed forced a smile. "Nothing." But his mind churned. He hadn't accounted for the dog. Max could unravel everything. Before the silence, before the courtroom, before the terror that stole her voice, Lily Thompson was a whirlwind of a child. At 5, she filled rooms with endless chatter, her brown eyes sparkling with curiosity. She loved fairy tales, her stuffed giraffe, and the way her mother used silly voices for bedtime stories. Fear was foreign to her until that spring afternoon. It was a perfect day, the air sweet with blooming lilacs, sunlight dappling the backyard. Claire watched Lily twirl in her yellow dress from the kitchen window, smiling as she planned dinner. Her husband, James, would be home soon. It should have been ordinary. It should have been safe. At 3:45 p.m., Claire's phone rang, her cousin calling from across the state. She stepped inside for a quick chat. For minutes. That's all it took. When she returned, the yard's gate hung open. Ice flooded her veins. Lily was still there, but not alone. A dark blue van idled at the curb, its side door ajar. A man knelt beside Lily, his smile too warm, too practiced. "I have kittens in my van," he said, voice smooth. "Special ones. They need a little girl to love them." "Want to see?" Claire's world slowed. her scream tearing through the air. Lily! The man's head jerked up, his smile vanishing, replaced by something sharp. He grabbed Lily's arm. She froze, eyes wide, as if fear had bolted her in place. Across the street, Evelyn Harper, a retired librarian, saw it all. Her voice, steady despite her age, rang out. "Leave that child alone." The man hesitated, his grip loosening for a split second. Lily yanked free and bolted to her mother. Claire scooped her up as the van's engine roared, tires screeching as it sped off, leaving skid marks on the asphalt. Claire clutched Lily, heart hammering, but Lily didn't cry. She buried her face in her mother's shoulder and trembled, silent. Within minutes, police swarmed the scene. Detective Callahan, from the FBI's Child Abduction Unit, took charge. His gray hair and sharp eyes spoke of years chasing monsters. "He fits the pattern," he muttered, flipping through a worn notebook. 5 kids gone in 2 years, all lured near their homes with promises of pets. Callahan's partner, Agent Maria Torres, knelt beside Lily. "Sweetie, can you tell us what he looked like?" Silence. Claire brushed Lily's hair back, hands shaking. "Honey, you're safe now. Can you tell them?" Lily gripped her mother's shirt, but didn't speak, didn't nod, didn't move. It was as if her voice had been switched off. "She hasn't said a word since," Claire whispered, fear creeping into her tone. Torres glanced at Callahan. "Selective mutism," she murmured. "Trauma response." Callahan sighed. "Without her statement, we've got nothing solid." A man, a blue Vantu vague. Evelyn stepped forward. "I got part of the plate," she said firmly. "First 3 letters, XJ4. Callahan's eyes snapped to her. "That's something." In the weeks that followed, Lily withdrew further. She stopped playing, stopped drawing, flinched at passing cars. Nightmares plagued her, silent thrashing that woke her parents in the dark. Claire and James tried everything storybooks, her favorite snacks, her stuffed giraffe. Nothing worked. One evening, Claire sat across from James at the kitchen table, eyes hollow. "The therapist suggested a therapy animal," she said. "A dog." James ran a hand through his hair. "You think that'll help?" "I don't know," Claire admitted, "but I'll try anything." They couldn't have known how much that choice would change everything. Dr. Sarah Evans' Animal Rehabilitation Center smelled of antiseptic and fur. In a quiet corner, Max lay on an orthopedic bed, his brown eyes tracking every movement. Once a star K-9 officer, he'd saved lives with his instincts. But 3 years ago, during a raid to rescue a kidnapped boy, a suspect's knife had carved into his side. Max subdued the man, blood soaking his fur, but the injury lingered, limiting his mobility. The department, strapped for cash, retired him, placing him on a euthanasia list. Dr. Evans, who specialized in therapy animals, fought to save him, believing his sharp mind and loyalty still had purpose. Claire sat nervously in the center, Lily peeking from behind her. The girl hadn't spoken in weeks, despite therapy. Dr. Evans knelt to Lily's level. "Hi, Lily. I work with special dogs who help kids who've been through scary things." Lily's eyes flicked to Max, who sat patiently, ears perked, but still. "Would you like to meet him?" Lily didn't answer, but she didn't retreat. Claire smoothed her hair. "He's a nice dog, sweetheart. He used to be a police dog, like in your books." Dr. Evans gestured to Max. "Stay." He didn't twitch. "You don't have to go near him, Lily," Evans said. "But if you're ready, hold out your hand, and he'll come to you." Lily hesitated, then stepped forward, her hand trembling. When Evans nodded, Max moved slowly, his warm breath brushing her palm. Lily's fingers curled into his fur, and something shifted. Claire gasped, tears welling. It was the first time Lily had reached out since the attack. Over the next weeks, Lily and Max became inseparable. She'd sit with him for hours, tracing his scar. When nightmares struck, his steady heartbeat calmed her. She began drawing again crayon sketches of a girl and a dog facing shadowy figures. One afternoon, as Max performed a trick in Evan's office, Lily whispered, "Good boy." The words were faint, but Claire heard them, tears spilling. It was a start. The courtroom buzzed as the trial began. Reed sat beside Donovan, fingers tapping rhythmically, his calm unnerving. Lily clutched Max's leash, the dog alert, his nose twitching as if catching a familiar scent. "All rise." The bailiff called as Judge Harper entered. He scanned the room, pausing on Lily and Max. He'd ruled to allow the therapy dog, despite objections. Before opening statements, Harper said, "We'll hear arguments on the support animal's presence." Donovan rose. "Your Honor, while we respect the need for emotional support, this large German Shepherd may bias the jury against my client. We request its removal." Anna Mitchell stood. "Your Honor, Lily is 5 and a trauma survivor with selective mutism. Max is medically necessary to allow her participation." Harper's expression was unreadable. "The dog stays." Donovan sat, displeased, as Reed remained stone-faced. The prosecution painted Reed as a predator, his actions part of a chilling pattern. Evelyn testified, her voice shaking as she recalled Reed grabbing Lily's arm. Lily sat silently, her fingers flexing on Max's leash. When called to testify, she was led to the stand, Claire hovering protectively. Anna approached gently. "Hi, Lily. I know this is scary, but you can nod or shake your head. If you need a break, just tell us." Lily's breathing was shallow, but Max pressed against her leg. She gripped his fur and nodded. "Lily, can you show us who was in your yard that day?" Slowly, she pointed at Reed. His expression didn't shift, but his jaw tightened briefly. Donovan stood. "Objection. The child was shown my client's photo repeatedly. This identification is unreliable." Harper overruled. Anna continued. "Did this man say anything?" Lily didn't speak, but made her subtle hand signal. Max's ears snapped forward, his growl low and deliberate. The room froze. Donovan objected again, but Harper was watching Max, who stared at Reed with laser focus. A thought struck him. "Ms. Mitchell, has this dog interacted with the defendant?" Anna hesitated. "Not to my knowledge, Your Honor." Harper turned to Reed. "Mr. Reed, have you encountered this dog?" Reed's fingers clenched, but he stayed silent. Anna's eyes widened, and she whispered to her team. A colleague rushed out. "Your Honor," she said, "I request a brief recess. New evidence may be relevant." Harper nodded. 15 minutes. Whispers filled the air as the courtroom cleared. Had Max recognized Reed? The question hung heavy. The prosecution's case teetered Reed was linked to multiple disappearances, but without Lily's voice, evidence was thin. No one expected the breakthrough would come from Max. The next morning, Anna presented a motion. Soil samples from Reed's van pointed to a remote cabin in the northern woods. "Your Honor," she said, "we request a 24-hour recess to pursue this lead." Donovan objected, calling it a delay tactic, but Harper granted the motion. Callahan's team, with Max and Lily, reached the cabin by noon. The air was still, the porch dusty, but fresh footprints led to the back door. Max growled, nose twitching, body rigid. "This place is wrong," Callahan muttered. Inside the cabin, they found a hidden trapdoor. Beneath it, a staircase descended into a damp basement. Toys, small shoes, a faded backpack, and in a corner, chained but alive, was Sophie Bennett, a 7-year-old missing for 8 months. Her face was pale, but her eyes lit with relief. "Help," she whispered. Max whined, straining toward her. Callahan freed her, carrying her to safety. Back in court, Sophie's rescue electrified the room. Anna introduced the evidence: soil samples, DNA on the chains, tire tracks matching Reed's van. "Mr. Reed," she said, voice like steel, "how do you explain an abducted child in a basement tied to you?" Reed stammered, composure cracking. "I don't know what you're talking about." Anna pressed on. "Sophie is alive. She can testify." Reed's defense crumbled. Then Max, lying at Lily's feet, lifted his head, hackles rising, growling at Reed. Reed flinched, sweat beading on his brow. He whispered to Donovan, then spoke softly. "I want to change my plea." Gasps echoed. Harper's gaze darkened. "Mr. Reed, are you pleading guilty?" Reed exhaled. "Yes." The trial ended abruptly. Reed was sentenced to life without parole, his crimes exposed. In the days after, Lily spoke her first words in months, holding Max's face. "Thank you," she whispered. Claire and James wept, seeing their daughter return. Max wagged his tail, nuzzling her. Some bonds, forged in darkness, were unbreakable. In a world of shadows, a girl and her dog had stood against a monster and won.